Yo, yo, what's good? What's good? It's Stormybman, and I am back. Welcoming you to Nerds on Culture with Stormybman for this Monday, Memorial's Day, May 29th, 2023. And we are back with another Nerds on Culture. This is number 45 in the series of Nerds on Culture, and we're calling this one the B Team American Karate Films. And we're going to talk a little bit this evening about the action film genre of the martial arts nature with American-made martial art films, karate films, as my dad used to call them, karate movies. And we'll talk about that a little bit. So come on in, enjoy with us as we reminisce and talk about a very popular genre that has kind of spiderwebbed out into other aspects of cinematic pleasure and enjoyment. But karate films have their own special, specific place as a genre. And it's something that some of us, it's kind of like if you're above the age of 38, you really have a feeling for this particular genre. There's something about it, because that's when, you know, young boys growing up, they like to emulate what they see on the screen and everything, and let me try that technique out, you know, or like they say in the old Chinese movies, let me show you a few tricks I brought back from China, you know. It's like what they say, man. But with no further ado, let me introduce my partner in crime in here. We got Drew Titan in the building with us this evening. What's going on, man?
Salute, Sensei. Thank you for having me. Let's cook.
Yeah, man. Karate movies, as my dad used to refer to them, man. And that just covered all bases when he say that. He'd tell me, put on one of them karate movies. You know, it was funny because he knew my collection was growing. So he knew I could put something on there to keep his interest up. But man, he used to take me to the theater almost like every Friday, if not Saturday, you know, or to the drive-in. And the drive-in is what I really loved, because it was like you could just kick back, man. The screen was extremely large. You know, that's the original big screen, you know, at the drive-in. So, and if you ever had the experience of going to the double drive-in, where it's like movies playing on
both screens,
both sides.
We had one in the Bronx.
Yeah, man. It was so much fun back in the day, bro, growing up with that. You know, people used to sneak people in the drive-in because you pay for the heads, right? Somebody be in the trunk. It's like you. That's when we had those big old cars back in the 70s and 80s. They were big enough that people could fit in the trunk. Remember?
You see, we here talking about one thing and you talk about something else, bro. I remember those days, man. We had a drive-in theater right here in the Bronx. It was right off the Cross Bronx Expressway, where the Brooklyn and the Cross Bronx separate. Right now they're building a whole new mall on that place, but prior to that, after that, it was a cinema called Whitestone Cinema, and it was a multiplex. They tore down the drive-in to build a multiplex, and that was there for a good over 30 years. And then they recently tore that down, and now they're building a mall over there. But those were the good old days. I remember, you know what I saw in the drive-in? The first Conan the Barbarian. I think that was the last movie I saw in the drive-in. It was Conan the Barbarian. What year was that, Storm? Was that 83?
Conan was like 81, I think, or
81?
82. Yeah.
Yeah, I was a kid, and I remember driving by, and they had two screens. One faced the highway and the other one faced away from the highway. And they would say where it was located. It was kind of difficult because they had to determine where to play the R-rated movies. Because I do remember driving on the, well, I wasn't driving, of course, I was with my parents. And I looked, and me and my brother would look out the window, like, what they playing over there? And we saw some chick chained up with her boobs out on a big ass screen. We was like, and I was like, oh man, my father was like, oh man, that's the wrong screen, man. You know, but On the other screen is facing a residential area. So it's like, what do you do? You know, but what I do remember was my dad used to take us there a lot. And we seen all the tricks, man. We seen the teenagers back then. There's a white neighborhood near there too, and the Italians were going there with their Trans Ams, and then they pull alongside, and like 3 girls will hop out the trunk. And I remember going into there was the concession stand. I go there with my dad. The smell of the popcorn and the snacks that they had. I used to like Raisinets. And funny story, of course. My dad brought us there to see something. I have to ask my brother. But my father goes to the concession stand to get popcorn and soda and that BS pizza that they sold, right? This man gets to the car, and I don't know what he tripped over, but I heard him go, whoa, and he hit the car. The popcorn went flying in the air. And the reason why I remember that is because I was so excited because I was about to eat.
Right.
And my pops just looked at the stuff on the floor. He got in the Cadillac and slammed the door. And my brother was looking, and I was looking, and I was like, we ain't getting no popcorn. And my brother was nudging me like, yeah, shut up. You know, talking the popcorn's on the floor. He dropped everything, and he was just sitting there with his arm up watching the movie. I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that. And I was sitting there, I was like, we can't get no snacks. My brother was like, shut up. Snacks in the store, shut up. Everything was and we had those old heavy ass microphones, and you had
hang them on the side of the window, yeah.
Side of the mirror. Oh man, you had to find one that worked. Man, good times, man. Good times, man. I remember the drive-in, man. I remember that.
Oh man. Yeah. The drive-in was something else, man. Drive-in was something else. I remember a drive-in experience where we had went to see Bruce Lee's Chinese Connection, and it was playing with something else. I don't remember what the other movie was. I just remember Chinese Connection.
When it was originally released?
No, this was like a second release of it or whatever.
Okay.
Because Lee's films didn't play in the US until after he passed away.
Right.
Ironically, Big Boss was made in 1971. Fist of Fury was made. Chinese Connection was made in 72. Way of the Dragon was made in 72 also. And Enter the Dragon was made in 73. But they didn't release those films to the US until 73.
Right.
So after he passed away, because it was something about the distribution of those films. He kind of didn't want those to be his introduction internationally, because he wanted the quality to be much better.
Right.
Which is why Enter the Dragon was the one that came, and then everything else got released after. But it was playing, and it got to the part when he arrived at the school, the Japanese school, and he brought that sign back with him, the sick man of Asia.
Men of Asia. Yeah.
It started raining.
Oh no!
And it started raining hard. So my dad he sat there for a minute, you know, and I'm sitting there. I was like, please stop raining. Please stop raining. You know, I'm sitting there. I'm like praying for rain to stop. You know how people pray for rain? I'm praying for rain to stop. And he put the car in drive, and we started heading home. And I was like, no. I was looking out the back window of the car. I'm still watching the movie as we driving away. And I see him looking at those guys and pointing at them and like telling them to eat the glass and the paper and stuff. And I was like, But of course, we get a rain check, you know, to go back another time. But man, I was too done, bro. Couldn't see the damn movie that night, man. And I had seen it already, but I was like, wanted to see it again, you know.
Yeah, man.
the drive-in experience was always great, man.
The overall
Always great.
movie experience back then, it was more interactive. It brings you, it's like the experiences that we had back then, it brings you to a certain place in life. I remember the music that was being played. I remember what grade I was in. I remember what we did after the movie. Me and my brother did. We came home. We was like, yo, I got first on Pac-Man. We had an Atari. You know what I'm saying? I got first on Pac-Man. You know what I'm saying? I mean, those what we call the good old days.
Did y'all have, like, at your drive-in and movie theaters, those little animations with the popcorn and the hot dogs dancing around singing?
Oh, yeah.
Let's all go to the lobby.
Oh, yeah. Let's all go to the lobby.
Man,
oh,
dude,
man.
That was so cool.
Was it like movie food? Did it taste better? Like when you're watching a movie?
You know what? I'm going to tell you something. Everything was more natural then. We didn't have all these additives and preservatives and stuff that they put in the food today. Yeah. Back then, you got the real thing. It was like, it was totally different. The popcorn had real melted butter.
Yes, it wasn't oil. It's oil now.
Yes, oil. And it's like, you know, oh man, we could do a show on that.
A whole show on that. A whole show.
You know what I mean?
But this actually goes into what we're talking about today, because I know in New York, and I know there was a spot we spoke about before in Chicago, in New York on 42nd Street, I believe the old 42nd Street, one side was the X-rated film down that strip. The other side was where we used to go watch the Kung Fu films. And they played a lot of B movies there. Now, when that dried up, they started playing those B movies on late at night. I used to see them a lot on Showtime, not so much HBO. And there was another cable network out here that was a rival to HBO called WHT. I don't know if that was only a New York thing or whatever. It was called It came out the same time as HBO. And for those of you that don't know, HBO is an acronym for Home Box Office. And WHT, I forgot what that meant. I forgot what the acronym for that was, but I remember my aunt had it, and it was a white antenna and it hung out the window. But they played movies, and I remember between WHT would play like the ridiculously borderline X-rated B movies, the comedies, that stuff, like chicks like really running through the street with full bush on. You know, it's like, whoa, you know. But the action movies, Showtime would play the action films, and those movies were so bad, but they were so good. I must have seen, and I don't remember them by name, but I must have seen every movie with Don the Dragon Wilson, because I would just be up in the middle of the night, and me and my brother would watch it. Like, yo, this is so bad, but it's so good. And so to Don the Dragon Wilson, because he was actually he used to compete. He was a kickboxing champion.
Yeah, he was kickboxing champion. Yeah.
But Lord, his movies was bad.
A lot of those guys that got into the American films in the mid to late 80s and early 90s, they were real martial artists. Everybody kind of want to cash in on the Bruce Lee craze after Chuck Norris started having success, because Chuck Norris didn't have success right away.
Yeah, it took him a minute.
His success happened in the early 80s, but he had made a couple of films during the 70s that still didn't pan out in the late 70s. But that's when other guys start, I want to give it a shot, you know, and they start making movies. But yeah, these films that we'll talk about tonight, man, that's what it's all about. You know, that's what it's all about. It's like, you know, one of the ones that I was going to see if I could pull this up for us to talk about.
What was unique about a lot of those movies that I saw with the casting, it was equivalent to like Shaw Brothers films. It's like it was the same actors with different storylines, and there was a lot of, and for the life of me, I can't remember a lot of those guys, but I know them by face. You know. like there's another brother. It wasn't Billy Blanks, but there was another brother. He had like a perm, stocky brother. He was always doing like these karate moves. He got killed in every film, and I can't think of this brother's name, but I know his face when I see him. I was looking earlier. I was like, I don't even know this brother's name.
That's like that guy, Daniel Egghardt or something like that, who was in the Bloodsport films after Van Damme.
Yeah.
And he showed up in the Matrix as one of the what do they call them?
The agents.
The agents, yeah. Matrix Reloaded.
Mm-hmm.
Remember when they came knocking on the thing and he was like, "Oh,
that damn show was
in the alley." Yeah, that was him. And the funny part about it was, it's like when I saw him in the Matrix film, you know, because they all had the shades on, and I'm looking at him, and I was like, damn, where do I know this guy from? And then I started thinking, I was like, oh yeah, he used to play in the Bloodsport movies, and you know, but his martial arts was pretty good too.
Yeah.
But it's like certain guys just got the publicity and the push, and certain guys didn't, you know. But yeah, one of the first big karate films that was made. Let's see if I can do this. I hope that I can get this up here correctly, because let's see. There's a way to do this. See, I'm still trying to learn how to use this melon thing.
Yeah, everything is it's a learning curve.
Yeah. This was supposed to be, hold on a second.
Man, I remember when this came out. That 80s craze was something else, man. It was something else.
I know. There's gotta be a way.
I saw this funny meme on Instagram a little while ago. It said the Misters of the Universe. It's a picture of Mr. Bean, Mr. T, and Mr. Miyagi. It's hilarious. Oh, and Mr. Belvedere. That was funny. Mr. Belvedere. Yeah, yeah, Ninth Wonder, if you could link a picture of him, because there's a bunch of dudes in those, and they were all, you know, they got work, man. But those movies were so bad. But I'll be lying to you, I sat through every last one of those films. Hey, I like that. That's dope.
Yeah, I'm playing around with it. I'm trying to figure this out.
Build it as we fly. It's all good.
Yeah. Trying to get it where I can show the image.
The chat. ATX, salute, Shogun, Daryl Alexander. Yeah, man. If you could get a link with his picture in it, he's a stocky brother. He had like a perm. He had the same haircut in like a majority of the films. And I said, man, this brother again, he'd be fighting, he'd be doing this thing, and then he'll get shot or he'll get stabbed or something. It was crazy. But man, Bloodsport, they spun off a crap load of B films, and I watched them all. It's similar.
I was trying to tell you what I was trying to do. I was trying to put the image up for the poster for Karate Kid, but it only shows it like really big. But when I was on here, you know, by myself, there was a way I could shrink it down, but I don't have that option with us being on live.
That's weird.
Yeah, it's like kind of weird, but that it doesn't allow me to do that. But yeah, this was the poster for the Karate Kid, Mr. Miyagi and Daniel and Sorry about that, guys. I can't show because I have plenty of images to put up, but they're all gonna be blown up like this, and I don't know how to shrink them down. I told you Stormy is learning how to do this stuff, but I ain't learned how to do it all yet. But the Karate Kid, basically, I was gonna say that's one of the films that was one of the big American films that was made. And what was interesting, it was very low on action, but a lot on character and character development and Eastern principles. Mr. Miyagi teaching Daniel a different approach than what Westerners would look at on a day in and day out basis, conflict resolution, stuff like that. And I think that that's why the film was so popular, because there wasn't a lot of that back then.
Right.
If you went to karate school or something, you got principles of some of that, but just like walking around the hood or whatever, you didn't, you know, so the exposure was kind of different. And back then, like, if you got into a fight on the street, not looking for a fight, but if you just got into some kind of conflict or something, and a dude broke out with some karate or something, you kind of got a little afraid of it, because you didn't know nothing about karate back then. It was like, it was still relatively new going into the 80s. You know what I mean? It was like, people was like, if you break out and start hooting and hollering and throwing punches and stuff, people be like, what's wrong with that fool? You know, now it's like part of the culture. You know, it's really funny how that has changed. Am I right?
You're not lying. You wanna know how stupid we were as kids? There was a guy my brother's age. He was an Asian fella, but you know, he was Chinese to us. We didn't know if he was Korean, Japanese, we don't know, but he was an Asian fella. And everybody was scared of him because they thought he knew karate. He spoke with an American accent. I mean, he was clearly American. I guess he was a bit of a bully, you know, and it wasn't my brother, but somebody finally kicked his ass. But that was like, yo, he kicked his ass. He can't fight. What the fuck was everyone so afraid of? You know, it was crazy. I remember his name was Sue. That's what they called him, Sue. And I don't know, he was one of those dudes just going through puberty before everybody else, and he had a lot of bass in his voice. And one day, my brother said, yo, one of his friends, Donald or something, fought him and beat his ass real bad. Like beat blood out his mouth. It was like crazy. I wasn't there for it, but I brought that up to say that for a while, everyone was standoffish. Like, yo, does he know the Kung Fu? Does he know the karate? Oh shit, he's Asian. It's like, god damn, man, we were just so like ignorant. It was so, if you thought you knew karate, it was like, yo, wait, hold on. Is he gonna start flying through the air? You know, we seen every Bruce Lee movie imaginable. Is that shit real? We don't want to find out.
That's funny because people used to say stuff, make sly remarks and stuff like, hey, Bruce Lee, you know, and they call you. They would, man. It's like, you know, today it's like you get canceled for saying stuff.
You get canceled, man.
But back then, man, it was like, who do you think you are? You know, it's like Bruce Lee, you know.
That's funny. Oh my God, that is hilarious, man. But yeah, man. Showtime held me down in the winter. You know what, Stormy? Was this really a B movie? Was it?
It was like a cut above, you know?
Yeah.
It was
This
like
was
a
good.
cut above.
I think Best of the Best 2 didn't do as well, but I like Best of the Best 2. Best of the Best 3 and anything after that, I really didn't care about. But this was pretty good. You saw, okay. I liked it.
Christopher Penn.
Yeah, I liked it. There was a great storyline. Well, not great. It was a typical storyline. I'll say that. And I watched it. I remember this. This was really good. This is really good. Part 2 was better. You know, spoiler alert, y'all. Travis got murdered, fighting in an underground fighting club. He got killed, and they went on a thing trying to find out who killed him and stuff. And what's the Asian fella's name there on the far right? Forget his name.
I forget his name too. I didn't care for the guy too much either.
Yeah, they it was
some
really
of those guys, they came across to me, some of those Asian guys that were in the martial art films back in the early 70s, I mean in the early 80s and early 90s, they tried to convince you too much that they were American born. You know what I mean? It was like some of them had that thing about them, and I was like, dude, stop trying to act like Travis or something. You just be who you are.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
You could tell, you know. But yeah, that was one. This one here with Joe Louis. I'm sorry, I can't show the full poster. Like I said, I can't adjust the screen for it. But this is Force 5 with Joe Louis.
I saw this in the movies.
Yeah.
I saw this in the movies. I did.
This was like an American Western knockoff of Enter the Dragon.
Yeah.
And instead of having 3 heroes, it was 4 additional along with the side with Joe Louis.
Yeah.
And that's Joe Louis spelled Lewis. Lewis. A very famous martial artist amongst the international karate scene from the 60s on in through the 70s. Joe Louis was one of the baddest guys out there. People knew Chuck Norris, but Joe Louis kicked Chuck Norris' butt. So it was like he was really something else in those tournaments. And when he studied with Bruce Lee, he got better because some of Bruce Lee's principles of martial arts techniques, he studied with Lee and he learned some things off of Lee. Like there's footage of Joe Louis out here on YouTube, on the internet, where you could see him competing in some tournaments and stuff. And there's footage of him like sparring someone, and he's moving so much like Bruce Lee that people thought it was Bruce Lee.
Wow.
Because you can't see his face. You can only see like from just below his shoulders down, and the camera's toward his back.
Yeah.
And he's facing somebody and he's doing these techniques. And the way he's moving like Bruce Lee. And a lot of people was like, oh, some rare footage of Bruce Lee was found. No, it was Joe Louis.
Yeah.
But it was because he was emulating some things he had learned and picked up from Bruce Lee. Like in karate, they don't teach you to put your power hand forward. You know, they say you don't lead with the power, you come from you to bring the power from the rear. Well, Lee believed in putting your power front. You know, so that was kind of like one of those things. But yeah, but Force 5 was an interesting film. A lot of a lot of the fight scenes were robotic, you know.
Yeah.
It was
Man.
like, ooh, ha, he, you know.
It was, man. It's like, oh,
it wasn't smooth.
You can tell the difference in choreography in 2 seconds. You can tell. I remember reading, Shogun. I'm gonna talk about that in a minute. Jim Cotta. I ran to the movies to see that. I was such a sucker for these bad movies, man. It had an A-list promotion, but that movie did not do numbers. But I ran to. It don't get any better than a gymnastic expert doing karate. Come on, they're flipping and kicking through the whole film. I ran to the theaters to see that.
Did you know that film was directed by the director of Enter the Dragon, Bob Klaus, and he also directed Game of Death after Bruce Lee had died. Jim Cotta.
Wow.
They were trying to make that guy a star. they thought that because he was a gymnast
Yeah,
and he was blonde haired, you know, and they was like, oh yeah, you'll make it.
you'll make it.
Not really.
Yeah, Michael Dudikoff was more popular than him. You know,
Yeah.
he got a lot of work. He's doing good. I follow him on Instagram. He's doing fine.
Yeah, Dudikoff was around for a while, and some of his American Ninja films and stuff like that, you know, he made some good action films.
Yeah, yeah.
And what's the brother's name that was in the movies with him? I can't think of his
With
name.
the mustache.
Steve,
He was in I'm Gonna Get You Sucker. He was Kung Fu Joe.
Steve James. Is it Steve James?
Well, let's go to Google. Oh, and by the way, Ninth Wonder, I know that brother. That's not the brother I'm talking about, though, brother. I know that brother. There was another brother. There was another brother. Gosh, let me see. Hold on.
Steve James, I think.
Steve James, that's him.
Yeah, you know, he passed away early in life too, because he had cancer or something.
Cancer.
But he was a good martial artist too.
He was for real.
He didn't like playing some of those subservient roles either, because he kind of had the same philosophy like Jim Kelly had, but he wanted to be more. He wanted to be more than what Hollywood was willing to give him at that time. Yeah. But he was a very good martial artist. And when I had heard he had passed away, it kind of really hurt me, because I was like, man, he was one of those good guys I didn't mind watching on screen. Yeah. His martial arts didn't look robotic.
Not at all. I remember hearing a story about it took one of these American these Asian actors who was used to the American style, and he was working with Jackie Chan as a I think he was playing a goon in a bar scene, and they said, you know, look, you know, he has the physique and all, but he's not gonna it was hard for him to make the transition to the way Jackie Chan choreographs his fights. The actor's name was Ho Sung Pak. He was actually from the Mortal Kombat. I think he played Liu Kang. I think he played Liu Kang for the video game, like the original Mortal Kombat. He was like one of the actors that played the character Liu Kang. And Jackie Chan gave him some work. It was hard for him to make the transition, because he was used to working under choreography under a different system. So, you know, it was a little different. You know, but you can definitely tell. There's a difference. But would you consider American Ninja a B movie? Because I think the first one had an A budget, and I want to assume it did fairly well. It was in the movies. Like, I remember the commercials for it and everything.
Yeah, this is actually the poster for it. And I can't shrink it down. Like I said, I don't know how to do this, guys. I really need to learn how to do it, because you shouldn't have to upload something and then can't see it. But yeah, I still think it was B, because you have to think.
Real quick, Stormy, maybe if you put it as your wallpaper behind, you know, just temporarily, and move our pictures to the side, then you can do that.
Let me see. Hold on. Let me try something. No, even when I try to do that, it's not letting me shrink it down.
I wonder why that's happening.
I don't know. But yeah, I think it would still be because you didn't know the actors.
Right.
They weren't stars. They were stars of the martial arts, but they weren't stars of the films of cinema. So it's like they were trying to turn them into cinematic stars,
Yeah.
which is
I
why
remember,
like a lot of that didn't work.
I remember the commercial. They were saying when they told you what the movie's about, and it said, "And introducing Michael Dudikoff." That was how they was introducing him to the
Right,
American
right.
audience, you know. So I mean,
And there was a film with what's the brother's name? Not brother, but he was I'm trying to think of this guy's name. Trying to
Iron Fist Black, salute. TC 2000. Yes, sir. Billy Blanks. I saw that on Showtime like at 1 or 2 in the morning. Damn, what year that came out? Let me look that up. TC 2000. 1993. I was homesick one day when that came out. I was watching that. Yep. Billy Blanks was in hella shape, man. Tybo. Yeah, Bolo was in that.
Like, do you remember this one film called American Samurai?
Yes, I do. Yes,
and,
I do.
Mark Dacascos was in that, and he played a bad guy in that one. Mark Dacascos.
I haven't seen that in so long, but I remember the film though.
And it was like they had this face-off at the end that there were two versions of it. There was like a real R-rated version that showed a lot of blood and limbs being cut off and stuff. And then there was the edited version.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing the uncut version of that fight scene at the end, and I loved it. I was like, oh, this is good. And then when I got the video, you know how we used to have Blockbuster Video. You could go to the video store.
Yeah.
It was edited. I was like, this ain't the same thing I saw on cable. It was like, I was pissed.
Oh my gosh. Oh man.
That reminds me of a film that I saw. It's a Hong Kong film called Ebola. And if you see the cut version of Ebola, it's like, it's not too bad, right? It's like, okay. But if you see the uncut version of it, it grosses you out, man. It's like,
I think that's on Netflix.
Yeah, this dude goes to an African village.
Mm-hmm.
He's like a Chinese migrant, and they have a restaurant. And he goes to this African village to buy some meat or something. And there's a whole area in the village where these people had succumbed to the Ebola virus. And he brought meat back from there to his restaurant, and people was catching Ebola. Dude, the movie is...
I think that film's on Netflix. It's bad, because if it's bad, I'm gonna watch it. If it's bad, I'm gonna watch it.
It's bad, bro. It's bad. And at the end of the movie, like when the police is after a boy, and because he's got Ebola and stuff, and it's like they're trying to catch him and stuff, and he's spitting at them and stuff. I got Ebola. He's spitting.
Yo, Stormy, I told you. When I had COVID, when I caught COVID, matter of fact, I did my live stream one morning and I didn't even know I had COVID, right? When I caught COVID and I was diagnosed, they said, yo, you got to quarantine for 10 days. So I was in my room. Stormy, I watched every bad movie I could find on Netflix. I mean, Godzilla vs. King Kong was already out, right? There's a movie on there called Ape versus Lizard or something.
Yeah,
these are just bad films.
I know that. I know that movie, bro.
And I just sat there and watched it and like, yo, man, horrible. But you know what's good? And it needs more shine. What is that called? Black Summer? Have you watched that? Oh man, it's good. It's really good. It's a zombie thing. It's like you get infected and you just turn into like, it's sort of like 20 days later, you one of those zombies that's running everywhere and stuff. When you get infected, it's really good. I think there's 2 or 3 seasons. It's really good though. It's good. It's good. Man.
Yeah, that ape versus lizard, man, that movie. Hey, and have you seen any of those knockoffs of like the Avengers? Like they got this movie about Thor, but this guy that's playing Thor, it ain't Chris Hemsworth, I can tell you that.
Yo, salute to Willie Lowe, man. I don't know if y'all know he had a motorcycle accident fairly recently, man. I'm glad to see the brother here.
Yeah, I saw that what he posted too, man. It's like, Willie, boy, you must be, oh my God. The dude had a whole layer of his skin in his hand like this, bro. Oh my goodness.
That's bad,
man, get well soon, bro.
Word up, bro.
Get well soon. My goodness.
Boxing and barbecue, salute. Knockdown,
when
salute.
I see stuff like that, it's almost like it make my nerves sensitive. I'd be like, oh.
Yeah, that road to recovery, yo, honestly speaking, I'd rather have a broken bone. Because that skin recovery, that's something else, man.
Because your nerves are exposed.
Your nerves are exposed, and then when it's healing, it's gonna itch. And Jesus Christ, man. Good look. Look at Knockdown. He said Black Summer was the shit. Yeah, I think there's 2 seasons of it. It's really good. The second season where they were chasing the black guy, yo, listen, Ong Bak ain't got nothing on the scene with this brother. Ong Bak ain't got, it's one shot where you remember, you think back when you was a kid playing tag in the play yard and everyone's trying to get you and you just like, you're in the zone and no one can catch you. That was his brother. He had to save this lady, I think, and then all the zombies start chasing him. He's hopping up on tractor trailers and running around and hitting people with bats. And he got away too. He got away. I was so happy. I was like, man, it's on Netflix. It's on Netflix. It's called Black Summer. And it would be equivalent to a B movie, but it's one of those B movies that you really can enjoy. It's a series. And of course, there's 2 brothers in there. You find out one is a former gang member. And dude was like, yo, don't I know you? And he had the gun out and he almost blew his brains out. But yo, this is
that's American Samurai.
American Samurai. Bro, do you remember the scene? All right, wait, is this a movie where he had a Japanese brother?
Yep.
Do you remember the scene where the dude, this was like a Bloodsport ripoff too.
Yeah, they said Bloodsport with swords. That's what they were saying.
You remember the dude with the big Australian Crocodile Dundee knife?
Yeah.
He just cut him in the forehead real fast and killed him?
Yep.
Oh man, that was crazy.
And oh boy, he cut Mark Dacascos, who's pictured there with the white bandana around his head. He cut his Achilles.
Yeah.
In that fight scene that they had toward the end. And dude was like, oh, he couldn't move. It was like, man, that was crazy, bro. But the film that it copied off of, Bloodsport, this one here, Frank Dukes, your boy, inshallah.
Yeah, this fucking idiot, Van Damme, damn it. And man, that's what Sec back too, man. Ellie Sec back did some whole shit. I'm sorry, Stormy. Real quick, he on Instagram, you know, with Lomachenko in the airport, you know, damn near blowing him. And he tagged everybody that agreed with. He tagged Boozy, he tagged Nelly, and he tagged Van Damme. And no worries though, because Steve Cunningham was the first comment I saw. He said, Ellie's talking. Lomachenko has his, he put the nut symbol there. But to my surprise, there was a lot of people giving it to Ellie. But anyway, we ain't talking about boxing. But
that guy don't have no integrity, bro.
He don't
have no integrity. I've heard some people say some things to him, and I've seen him put himself in a position for people to say things to him. I'm like, you know what? You ain't never got to worry about Stormy being that guy. Never.
Mhm. That guy's a whatever, man. Let's just say he does this for a living. So he's a company man by his own choice. But anyway, movies, please. Speaking of Van Damme, he was in some B movies.
Yeah.
He was in
something called No Retreat, No Surrender.
Yep.
And he played the Russian.
Yep.
In that.
He was also in that movie with Sho Kosugi. What was the name of that movie? That was the first movie I saw, man. He was doing the splits.
Oh, dang.
Look at Willie. Said he got Deontay told him to take sponge baths for a week. Yeah, you don't want to take a shower, man. You don't want to take a shower. That water hitting you, it's not going to feel good. Damn. Yeah, what was the name of that movie with him and Sho Kosugi? Because that's the movie where he got chewed up by the boat propeller. That shit turned on, and he couldn't escape, and sucked him in. I can't think of the name of that film.
Yeah, we should take him. We should take him on a boat ride after what he said about Devin.
Yeah,
remember this, Jean-Claude?
Alhamdulillah, really, dude? Yeah, but these are some bad. But you know what? You know what it is with the B movies? They're so bad that they were good though. A lot of them were good. Like I'm on this site right now, Stormy, with TC 2000. There's a whole site for it. Not a site, but they got a lot of videos for it here.
Mm-hmm.
They're playing it, and Billy Blanks had the best S-curl flat top I've ever seen. Yup. And he's here fighting Bolo. Man, this is great, man. This movie was great. I mean, this came out in '93. I was in high school. I remember I was sick.
How did Bolo segue from Hong Kong films to these American films, man?
I mean, you know what? And I hate that. I don't know if this is look, I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. He was one of those Renner agents. Sort of like Pat Morita. We needed an Asian, called Pat Morita. Pat Morita could play a Japanese guy, a Chinese guy. Pat Morita, the first time I saw Pat Morita was on Sanford and Son. You remember that? He was on Sanford and Son.
Yeah.
And he had black hair. Mm-hmm. He was on Sanford and Son. Pat Morita was the guy you call up. He you know, who else was another Renner agent? Do you remember that?
Pat Morita was on Happy Days, bro.
Yo, was that after Sanford and Son?
That was like right around in the 70s, because it's like Happy Days. He ran the diner, remember?
Yes. Yup. Stormy, who's the guy? You remember the Brandon Lee movie? His first movie, where he his first starring role, Before the Crow.
Oh, Rapid Fire.
Remember the Asian guy that he fought? That was kind of like seeing him towards the end of the movie.
Yeah.
What's that guy's name? He had the same haircut, the same mustache,
mustache and beard in every movie.
Yes.
He's in Mortal Kombat. He's in everything.
Everything.
I forget that guy's name.
He has a Hollywood square. You know that?
Huh?
He has a Hollywood square.
Yeah.
What is his name?
I'll find it right now.
But I didn't know he was nice like that. You know, that was the first time I actually saw him. I saw one movie where he had an A role. He wasn't a villain in this movie. He was like a CIA agent.
Al Long.
That's him.
Al Leong. Yeah. Leong.
Everyone Google Al Long. Y'all know exactly who we talking about. He was in every horrible movie. He was always a villain. He had the same haircut. And he was one of those, what we call Renner Asians. He was everywhere. You need an Asian villain, call him up. And that's what Bolo was. But Bolo, he was either a villain or he was a hero. you know, but you needed somebody to put your film over. You call them up. This filmography, I can't even say the name. What am I trying to say? Filmography, whatever the fuck. He must have did like 300 films, man. Man.
Do you know how old that movie is? Rapid Fire?
When that came out?
92.
I was in high school when that came out. Holy cow, man. Is that old? Sheesh.
Yeah.
You went to the movies to see that? I went to the movies to see that.
Yeah. You remember the bowling? Do you remember the bowling alley scene?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
That's a place here in Chicago, right on Fullerton Avenue. It's still there. The bowling alley is still there.
Wow.
Powers Booth was in there playing bowling, and he couldn't knock down those pins. It was like he had 2 left. He couldn't knock them down every time, and he was like, "God damn it!" You know, he was saying. But yeah, man. And the scene where Brandon is fighting those guys in that apartment building, where he runs out the back door and goes down the stairs, and there's a Chicago train going by, an L train. That area where that was shot, that was on the north side near my house. It's like, dude.
That whole area. Ain't it funny when you see them filming stuff, and it's like, I know where that's at. Like, for those of you that never been to New York, the Joker movie, those steps, I know where that is. And people started going to those steps to take pictures and stuff, and people, that is not the safest of neighborhoods. Till this day, it's not. And when they chased him off those steps in the movie, when he finally gets to the train, everyone from New York, when you saw that scene, they're like, ain't no way. You know why? Do you know how far the fucking train is from those steps? It's up a hill it's far. There's no way. He's like, wait a minute. He's by the train. That's Jerome Avenue. You know how far that is? Like, oh, hell no. But that's Gotham. That wasn't New York. But whatever.
Right. Well, that's just like that movie, The Transformers, the third one.
Yeah.
Where they are in Chicago and they're by Wacker Drive when those big Transformers are like flying by the buildings and stuff. Dude, movie magic is something else.
It's something else.
Because you remember that building that was falling?
Yeah.
And they would like run. Dude, that's a building that's downtown Chicago. I pass it almost every day when I go home from work. I'm like, there ain't no way that building done fell down. But in the movies, it's like, you know, crazy stuff. Just like in Batman versus Superman, when they were working at the Daily Planet and Perry White and them, they was running and Zod and Superman was fighting and Bruce Wayne was running through the thing. Dude, all of that is like right.
Man.
I know where all of that stuff is. I was like, how'd they do that? It's
the first Avengers. Well, Hulk punched the monster towards the end. That's Park Avenue.
Right.
I'm just looking at, every time I would drive through there, I'm like, yo, this is where the Hulk punched. They got it right. That's where the Hulk punched that fucking monster and flipped it over, man. I was like, they had it right. The area was correct.
Yeah, that's where they did their Avengers Assemble scene.
Yeah,
right
that's
there.
where they did it. That's where they did it. And it's like, wow, where that building is. I'm like, you know, Stark's building would be right here. It would be right here. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. Movie magic is something special, man.
Especially now with what they can do. Oh, by the way, we're talking movies. I know it's supposed to be B movies and karate, but did you go see Fast X yet?
No, I didn't see it yet.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take a look at it next week. I'm gonna catch a matinee and go by myself. My wife don't want to see that shit. She's like,
next
come on.
Week I'm going to see the Transformers.
I'm gonna see that too. I'm definitely gonna see that too. They got it. They got it, man. They're gonna get me for that.
Well, the funny thing is like I done got back into going to the movies. You know what I mean? It's like I done got back into it, man, because it's like it's what I like to do, you know. And it's like they took it away from me for a couple of years with that pandemic, you know.
Yeah. Man, yo, what was the name of that movie with Dolph Lundgren and Brandon Lee?
Showdown in Little Tokyo.
Showdown in Little Tokyo. That's what it was. That was
a
pretty
movie
good.
that I hate and despise because of that line of dialogue that they gave Brandon in that film, and I was never forgiven for what he said. Do you remember what he said?
No, what did he say? No, what did he say?
They were in one of those bath houses or something, and they had a fight scene in there or something, and then when they came up out of there, they were walking down the street, and out of nowhere, he tells Dolph Lundgren,
"Oh, now I know what you're talking. Oh, yeah.
I'm like, why did they have Brandon say that shit, man? It's like, really?
I forgot about that. Yo, I was in the theater with my brother, and when we looked at each other like, what? Ah, man, I just remembered that. Man, that was so far in my memory banks. Oh, yeah, I remember that. You know what? Don't even mention it, man. Jesus Christ. I was about to say everything else about the movie was, you know, action and stuff, but that line right there.
Why did they have him say that? I don't understand that. It was so out of place. It was so out of place, so cringeworthy. That was equivalent to that scene in Thor where they had stripped his clothes off and he's standing up there in the stadium in front of Zeus and all of them. That was totally unnecessary. What are they doing?
Yeah, I forgot about that. Look at 704 Joe. He know what we talking about. Whoa, I forgot about that. They have to. That's one of those things that you ain't have to do that.
Bruce Lee wouldn't have went for that.
No.
I can tell you that right now.
Nope.
So I don't know what Brandon was on.
That wasn't even like cool. That wasn't even like a ha. That was like.
Do you know I haven't watched that movie since I got the DVD?
Really?
I don't watch the movie. It's like I was so pissed off at Brandon for that, man. I was like, no, I ain't gonna watch it no more. Because it's why would you do that, man?
You got a super chat.
Yeah, it just popped through. Hey, salute to Anthony Bolton out there in that super chat. He said, salute. Did y'all talk about Blind Fury? No, we didn't mention Blind Fury yet, but Rutger Hauer, man, Blind Fury, it was a good action flick, man. Very interesting. And he played a similar character to that character in that film when he was on what was that Netflix series? Was that Daredevil? No, not Daredevil. Iron Fist.
Iron Fist, yeah.
Am I right?
Was it you talking about Rutger Hauer?
Yeah.
It was Iron Fist. Wait a minute. Iron Fist had 2 seasons. Punisher, Jessica Jones, Daredevil.
He was in one of those.
I think it was Iron Fist, Stormy.
Yeah.
Or was it Defenders?
He was in one because he was supposed to have taught old boy some martial arts or something.
It was Daredevil.
Daredevil.
It was Daredevil.
Yeah, because he was supposedly, okay.
It was Daredevil. And that Iron Fist season, just as a sidebar, second season, they really stepped it up. And I wanted to see where it was going to go, but, you know. Second season of Iron Fist was really good. First season was fugazi. But whatever. Yeah, it was Daredevil. Yeah. My gosh. Yeah, you brought back a memory with that, Stormy. I forgot about that. That was aggravating.
That let you know how it affected me. I'm like, I ain't never gonna forget that, man. I could have Alzheimer's, and I'll be like, can you believe that shit they had Brandon Lee say? I ain't gonna
Oh
forget.
man.
Some
Oh,
shit just stick into your craw. It's like I ain't forgetting nothing.
Oh man, that's funny, man. Yeah,
Oh,
that was bad. I forgot all about that. That was horrible.
do you remember this karate film called Kill or Be Killed
Kill or Be Killed.
with
Yes.
James Ryan, that dude with the long hair? He was a little bitty dude too, wasn't he? He was like about 5'6".
I saw Kill or Be Killed 1 and 2 in the movie, and I saw it with my dad. And my father's reactions to these films, that shit be funny, man. But how bad was that film, though, man?
It was horrible. And the second film, hey, the second film was called Kill and Kill Again.
Kill Again.
But Kill or Be Killed, they had James Ryan running around. He was,
it was bad,
man.
Stormy, was it the first or the second film where at the end somebody was about to get shot, and it was a slow motion? He blicked him, and the bullet left, and out of nowhere he came in. He jumped onto the scene with a metal plate and blocked the damn bullet. Was that the first or second one?
I think.
But I remember the whole audience, because I saw it in the movies. Everybody was like, "Come on!" Because the bullet's going slow and he's in regular time like this. Everyone's like, "Come on!" Nah, man. It was laughable how bad that. Man, let me go to Google.
Man, you can't make this stuff up. I tell you, bro. You can't make it up, man.
Kill or Be Killed. Yo, they redid it in 2015. That came out in 76. Wait, hold on. No. Kill or Be Killed, 1976. James Ryan, Charlotte Michelle, Norman Combs, Daniel Duplessis. Oh, man.
Take a look at my screen.
Oh, that's it, bro. Champion Hawk says that was the second one, bro. You know what? I'm gonna watch it. Where can I find it? I need this film.
I got the DVD, bro.
You got the DVD?
Yup. I picked it up on Amazon.
Oh.
Paid like $8 for it.
This was bad. Remember they had the dudes locked up in the they had them locked up in the like a room, and they had to karate themselves. They broke down the wall with punches and kicks.
Yeah. That shit was over the top, man. It was like comic book movie type stuff, you know, with their feats of karate, you know.
Yo, I'm looking at the coming attraction. I remember this, Stormy. By the time I saw it, it was re-released on 42nd Street.
Yeah.
The 80s.
Yeah, because it came out in like
76.
Yeah, I was gonna say 75, but yeah.
Man, I remember this.
Yeah, man. See, that's how my dad, bro. Karate movies. I mean, that was his thing. How about this one? Jeff Speakman in The Perfect Weapon. Do you remember that one?
You know what? People sleep on this movie. I like this.
This was very good. And I recently picked that up on DVD. I picked this up. No, I got it on Blu-ray, actually, I think. About 2 years ago, maybe 3.
Yo, you remember he was surrounded by, how many guys was that? Like 4 guys? And they tried to rob him and he knocked their ass out?
Mm-hmm.
Slept them. Jeff Speakman.
And he was a real martial artist too. And people thought he might pick up after that film.
What happened?
But he didn't. I think for him, it just became a thing where he didn't really want it like that.
I liked it. Yeah, Champion Heart. I liked it. I like Perfect Weapon. I liked it. I did like it. I did like it. I don't know if this was martial arts, but Remo Williams, The Adventure Begins. You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck was that?
Yep, Remo Williams. Yep, I remember that one.
Shit was stupid. He had the light technique. He go like this and he would run over. It was stupid. Nah, man, I gotta see Killer be killed, man. That shit with the bullet. If I remember anything, it was that scene with the bullet. Because I remember the movie theater erupted like, come on! They're like, come on! Man, popcorn went flying in the air. It was just bad. It was all bad. It was
But
all
that, you know,
bad.
it's like, that's how you know a movie is over the top, man. And that dude, James Ryan, he wasn't even a real martial artist, man. They sold him as he was one, you know. He wasn't, though.
Matter of fact, when I was a kid,
But that first film made a lot of money, though, Drew.
It did?
That's why they made a sequel.
It really did?
Yeah, it made a lot of money. Like, okay, let me look it up here.
That shit with the bullet, man. I'll never forget that, man. I will never forget that. That shit with the bullet. Man, the theater. I remember I asked my father, because I thought that was James Carradine when I was a kid at first. He was like, nah, this is my father's response. I said, is that the guy from Kung Fu? My father's response was like, nah, that's some other asshole. That's what his response to me. I'm like 5 years old. I remember that. Oh yeah, Jermaine. Cynthia Rothrock, we spoke on her before. Yeah, she was for real. She in her man, she was nice with it. I follow her on Instagram. She looks well. She still works with I think didn't she used to compete in wushu tournaments or something like that, right? She was for real.
That film was based out of South Africa, bro.
Oh shoot.
1977.
Wow. So they made their money back off of that.
I was trying to look up and see how much money it made. It's not showing me.
That shit was funny. I just want to see that. I want to see that scene with the bullet. That was hilarious. That bullet's moving slow and he jumped out the back with an iron plate and stuff. Then there was a scene where he was trying to meditate and float, and he ended up float. It was, man, that movie was crazy. I remember bits and pieces of it. He floated in that film, didn't he? Did I imagine that? That was a bad film, man. But it's so bad, I want to watch it. I remember popcorn flying. I was like, oh, come on. That bullet scene was bad. Hold on, let me see something.
You remember that dude that played the midget?
Yeah, the midget. Yeah.
Kill or be killed.
What else did this guy do though? James Ryan.
Nothing but the sequel.
That's it?
I mean, I think he was in some other stuff, but you know, his filmography, you know, they was just capitalizing on, you know, the karate movie craze. That's all.
He didn't do anything after this?
Yeah, hold on. One second. 1977.
This looks horrible, but I'm gonna watch it again. Yeah, this is horrible. This is all bad.
1 second here. James Ryan.
Okay, James Ryan, Wikipedia. He's a writer, director, actor, and professor. He's a professor. Woo. Oh, he got a. Whoa. He's in a lot of movies.
Yeah.
Okay, Kill and Kill Again, I saw in the movies. That's the bullet scene, man. That came out in '81. But he did a lot of yeah, he didn't do anything. He was in a kickboxing movie in '95. He was in From Dusk Till Dawn 2, and in 2002 he was in Global Effect.
Yeah, so he's basically a character actor.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to see he's well. But Jesus Christ, that movie was bad.
You know, somebody mentioned Cynthia Rothrock, Champion Heart. You know, she's one of the few women, Caucasian women, who have aged and looked better as she's gotten older.
She looks good.
She looks good for her age, and she's got to be what, 70 something?
Yeah. They live a clean life, like Chuck Norris. He lives a clean life, man. Yeah. Diet and exercise and everything. Chuck Norris has got to be, what is he, like 90?
Yeah, he's in his late 80s.
Yeah, he's up there. But I follow Cynthia Rothrock on the gram, and she got something going on YouTube. Well, they did a story on her. It's fairly recent. She's fine, man. She's fine. She looks great. She still works out. You know, she's divorced, and I think she's remarried or something like that. But shout out to her. You know, when you live a clean lifestyle, you know what I'm saying, it nets you dividends, because she looks all right. She never really like hurt herself or whatever. I know Jackie Chan, that man done broke every bone in his body, even his skull. You know, but he's another guy that lives a clean life. You know?
Yeah.
No drinking, no smoking, nothing. Donnie Yen, so far, he's a baby compared.
You know what's funny about Donnie Yen? He's not aging well. I was looking at that photo of him that you put in the intro for the show here from Ip Man.
Yeah, he don't look like that no more.
It's taken from the first Ip Man movie.
Yeah.
He don't look like that at all anymore.
He got the gooseneck going.
Yep.
You know, some of those guys did they did a movie about how they train those kids early. They get them on loose and limb, but it messes them up, you know, down the road. Sammo Hung, he was in the movie when they talk about what they do to the kids to get them into theater.
Yeah, I have that movie.
Oh, okay, so you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That's rough. That's very, very rough.
Yeah, it's called Painted Faces. It's a movie about them growing up in the opera school.
Yeah.
The Chinese opera school.
Yeah, that was rough. Jet Li was into that. Like, that's how he grew up, from what I heard.
Yeah.
And now he's goofed up pretty bad. Like, you know, limbs he's not as limber. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Weird stuff, man.
Well, hey, let's get some final words, bro, because this is a subject we can revisit too, because it's so many more that we haven't even talked about, because we got to bring it on up into the 90s and everything. But you know, it's a great kickoff, because we definitely, when we do these, we can talk about so many different things. It's so great, you know.
Yeah, man, you just you say kill or be killed. I said, oh my God. I remember how bad that was, man. Because I think, you know what it was, Stormy? I saw Kill and Kill Again first.
Okay.
And then I saw Kill or Be Killed on VHS.
Yeah, because the sequel came later. It came a few years later. It didn't come out right away.
It came out in '81. And I saw it in the movie. I saw Kill and Kill Again in a movie. I saw Kill or Be Killed on VHS. And both of them were horrible films. but they were so horrible I couldn't stop watching. I couldn't stop watching them. But we definitely need to revisit this, man. This is always, man, I love this show. This show's like, I always start thinking about where I was in life and what I was doing. When you said driving, I'm like, man, I remember the driving in the Bronx, you know, and I remember going and the popcorn and all this stuff, man. We could do a show about movie snacks if we want to, man. Like a movie experience, like what it was when you went. Your experiences are what they are. We remember it as such, and who knows, there might be kids today that go to the movies and that's their highlight for them. You understand? Although we might not identify with it because we're older, that might be groundbreaking for them. So I don't want to violate what kids do today. Like, if their experience is their experience. Music, video games, movies, I understand. But it's always a pleasure, like, to revisit that, because what I do know is those were like the happiest times of my life. I didn't have a care in the world. It was the happiest times of my life, man. And we got to definitely revisit these B movies. Just overall action, anything B movies, man. Anything B movies. I should have did more homework, because there was I don't remember the name of these movies, for Pete's sake. But if I can find the names of these actors, then I can look up these movies. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot to talk about. But man, as usual, great show. And we're going to be back next Monday.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And appreciate everybody that came out. Check out the show this evening. The super chat. Appreciate that. And continue to support us, man. Share our streams, because there's a lot of people, when we get to talking about this stuff, it's nostalgia. It's a part of our lives, how we've grown through this entire experience of nerddom. And when we, you know, things that we take, it's like, and for those that can't share this with everybody else, it's like you can come here and enjoy and talk about it and stuff like that. So just know that that's what we're here for, man. Want to say salute to everybody that support us on that. And we'll be back next Monday with another one. So
yes, sir.
Shout out to the mighty LDBC. And we'll catch you guys next Monday. Peace.
Peace.